I am going to start recording. Yeah. Hello. What? Right? Hello.
Hello, y'all. This is Tanya from Advocates. I'm having to join online.
Hello.
Good to meet you.
It's on Jefferson Center. Have a call board. Oh, wonderful. And Richard Zenzi. Yeah. So we have this. That I'm shared scene. Wonderful. If he's got English, so he's
Y'all, sorry, I don't know if you've started the meeting or not. I want to let you know the audio from the room, at least for me, is coming in pretty choppy. Are other people having that experience, or is it on my side?
Can you, can you hear us now, George?
Yes.
We have our personal mics muted because we're just chatting with each other.
Oh, okay.
But
So
you
maybe there was just a hot mic in the room that was picking up a little bit of it.
Yeah, all right.
Yes, the Gilpin public Wi-Fi.
Want to sit on that side, Dean? Bit easier to see.
Yeah. Is that okay?
You can sit wherever you want. I didn't sit this way.
Are you finding that the public is working? Yeah, access.
Yeah. Chelsea got on it. So it's get access, but it's capital G, and then instead of the A in access, it's the at sign.
Oh, Gilpin app. So should you get access?
Yeah. Yeah, and get.
Oh, so the A is the app. Okay.
I could write it down if that was.
Let's see if it works.
It's complicated.
It looks like it's trying, so that's a good thing. It feels like a, well, it is Monday.
Yeah, it definitely feels like a Monday. We should have kept our IT guy in here. All right, hello everyone. My name is Dr. Chelsea. I am the program manager for Gateway to the Rockies Opioid Council, Region 10, also referred to as GROC. Today we are coming to you from beautiful Gilpin County in the most nostalgic courthouse I've ever been in. So we are setting up tech for the first time in here if you want to bear with us. I did drop a link in the chat for our non-voting members who are in attendance. Please fill that out so we can read through that when we get to our attendance page. We do have a packed agenda today, so I will keep us moving. I'm going to start off with our attendance of voting members. I do have Commissioner Dahl-Kemper in the room getting set up. Commissioner Marlin, if you want to give us a sound check, please.
Hello, how's my audio?
Awesome. Commissioner Hollingsworth. Michael Prang or Luke Parr. Heidi McCollum or Stephen Potts.
Here, Stephen Potts is here from McCollum.
Thank you. Kevin Armstrong or Greg Demo.
Greg Demo here filling in for Kevin.
Thank you. Mayor Bud or Sophia.
This is Mayor Bud. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can. Thank you for
Okay.
joining us.
All right. My camera, apparently I'm not verified in your system, so I can't get a video feed.
Okay. As long as we can hear you, that's the most important part.
That's fine.
Then we got Janine.
I'm here.
Thank you. Troy Cooper or Tori Jantz.
Tori Jantz is here.
Thank you. Dr. Story or Michael Miller. Thought I saw Dr. Story come in. Dr. Ryan or Emily Cooper.
Here.
Thank you. And then Alisa Witt just walked in, and her alternate Marie Larson is in here. We're going to do a little switch of appointments later in the meeting today. Mary Berg or Barb Weinstein.
Hi, it's Barb Weinstein for Mary.
I'm so sorry, Barb. I do this every time. I'm like, I'm going to say her name right this time, and then I do it wrong every time.
It is totally okay.
Sarah Casano or Dr. Gillingham.
Hi, this is Sarah Gillingham. I'm here. Sarah Casano is also here by phone. She may have to step out later, though.
Okay, thank you. Janie Barker is right here.
I'm here.
Kristen Heath or Judge Cindy Jones.
Hi, this is Kristen. I'm here.
Thank you. So we do have a recovery story today from Kaylee Peterson. So I will go ahead and turn it over to her while all of our non-voting members are filling out that form.
Hi, everybody hear me good?
Yes.
Yes? Okay, cool. Thanks, Chelsea. Dr. Chelsea. So, hi, everyone. My name is Kaylee Peterson. I'm a person in long-term recovery. My sobriety date is August 7th, 2015. So I just celebrated 10 years free from all mind-altering substances. Thank you. So I'm honored to share my story today because I believe recovery is possible and hope that my journey can offer hope or understanding. So when I was 13, I felt a sudden shift inside. Growing up, I had a happy childhood. I did really well in school. I played sports and made friends really easily. But seemingly almost overnight, it was like I became consumed with worrying what everyone else was thinking of me, and constantly feeling like I just didn't fit in anywhere. After a traumatic event at a party, I discovered substances and they became my solution to cope with how I was feeling. And at that age, I didn't really know what words like depression or anxiety were. I just knew that substances helped me escape from how I was feeling. Through high school, my use escalated, ended up dropping out in 10th grade. And by 17, I was homeless. At that point, drugs weren't a choice anymore. They were a necessity for me. Over the next 13 years, I went through countless detoxes, hospital stays, arrests, and different treatment programs. And by 2015, it was like substances weren't even taking away the pain anymore. And I reached a point where I thought about ending my life. At that moment, I decided to try one more time, and I knew I had to make a choice, either life or give up trying. And luckily, the love of my family and my faith gave me enough strength to try again one more time. So that's when I came to Colorado. I went through a 6-month treatment program. And this was for the first time in my life. I stopped fighting literally everyone and everything around me trying to help me. And I did what others suggested and treated recovery like it was like I was drowning in an ocean and it was my life preserver. And slowly I began to heal. I attended therapy, which helped me process the pain I'd carried since I was 13 years old. And all throughout those years, I started forgiving myself, made amends to my family, and started to rebuild that trust. One of my therapists gave me the task. I remember she was telling me, look in the mirror and look yourself in the eyes, and then tell yourself daily affirmations. And I was like, geez, I don't want to do this. But I remember the first time trying it and really looking at myself in the mirror and just crying. And I was like, what, you know, I didn't remember the last time I'd really looked at myself. And slowly over time, I began to like the person that I saw in the mirror. Instead of dishonesty and shame, honesty, integrity, and connection became part of who I was gradually. A turning point for me came when I started helping the new women entering the treatment program I was in. And I had a realization that my painful experiences and everything I had gone through could actually be used to help someone else. And so that gave meaning to everything I had gone through, and it sparked something in me. And I found that I really loved walking alongside others in their recovery journey. And then after graduating that program, I was offered a job at the treatment center. So I started there as a house manager and worked my way up to program director, and absolutely loved coming to work every single day. And I saw a need in the community at that time. There was no women's sober living homes in Lakewood or Wheat Ridge area. And I had a dream of creating one, even though I didn't have the money and I didn't really even know where to start doing that. But doors began opening, and a friend of mine and my former employers trusted me with some houses that they didn't want to manage any longer. And my father took a chance on me and gave me a small loan. And that was the beginning of how I started Monarch Sober Living Homes. A couple years ago, about 2 years ago now, I was again looking at what the needs in the community were. And mental health is a really big one. And so I started Monarch Competency, which is a program for individuals with severe and persistent mental health or mental illness. And then more recently opened Monarch Mental Health, which is a licensed residential mental health transitional living home. And then on a personal level, I've been married for 5 years, and I'm proud to be a mom of 2 beautiful little boys, ages 3 and 4. So I definitely have my hands full there. But it's absolutely amazing, and I love them so much. Over the years, you know, life has happened. I've lost many friends to this disease, a lot, and I've had my share of bumps and bruises along the way. And today I'm grateful that I get to feel those emotions, to grieve and to struggle, to grow and to experience them as part of being human, because for so long I was just numb to everything. And recovery has given me the ability to lean on my faith and my family and to truly experience what living has to offer, which is amazing. I get to live a life today that I thought was once impossible. I'm free from addiction, surrounded by love, and I'm able to help other people find their own path to recovery. And if my story shows anything, is that recovery is possible and it's definitely worth it. So thank you all for letting me share today.
Thank you so much, Kaylee. We really appreciate your story. I'm sorry, I am trying to do like tech too. Yeah, I was trying to spotlight you for everybody, but I don't know if that was working on everyone else's end. So we are going to be revisiting Kaylee later in the meeting. Commissioner Marlin.
Yeah, I just wanted to say thank you for sharing your story. And one of the big takeaways that I have when I hear recovery stories from people who are currently doing awesome things and like in a really professional capacity that have been through really hard times is for us to remember that everybody we seek to serve today has the potential to be a Cali Peterson. Did I get your name wrong? I think I did.
It's Kaylee, that's okay. It's spelled wrong, but thank you so much.
Yes, so we are going to be revisiting Kaylee later in the meeting with Monarch. But again, Kaylee, I really appreciate you sharing your story today. It does provide a lot of context on why the GROC invested in Monarch. You got to mute, Sandy. Michael Miller did say in the chat, thank you so much, Kaylee. Beautiful story. And we're lucky to have you as a leader in this space and in our community. Talia from JCMH also said, thank you so much. So general updates, remember our October 27th council meeting is canceled for the Colorado State Opioid Abatement Conference in Loveland. QR codes, links are in the agenda. Laura is assisting with meeting minutes today, so she will be dropping those links in the chat. First order of business is going to be approval of June 23rd meeting minutes. As a reminder, the July 28th meeting did not require quorum. It was entirely focused on the advisory board, advisory committee, establishing that group. So there are minutes, but it's not a formal minute. I'm looking for a motion.
This is Leslie, so moved.
I'll second. This is Sandy.
And then we will vote by opposition in the chat. And the meeting minutes have been approved. We are going to do August 25th conflicts of interest, starting with voting members. Remember, if you receive money from GROC, you do need to declare a conflict of interest at every meeting.
This is Commissioner Hollingsworth, and Gilpin receives GROC funding.
And this is Jeffco Commissioner Leslie Dahlkemper. Jeffco Sheriff's Office and Jeffco Public Health also were awarded funding or in this round.
This is Bud Stutter, and Wheat Ridge receives money from GROC for services.
The co-responder program.
Tanya Wheeler from Advocates for Recovery Colorado, and we are a grant recipient.
So this is only going to be voting members right now. All non-voting members or grantees who have, it's okay, Tanya, it's okay, who have the conflicts of interest, you are asked to report that in the form in the chat, and then I will read those out loud. Do we have any other voting members with a conflict?
This is Tim Ryan. I hope to have one by the end of the meeting.
Moving into non-voting members, we do have Sharon Hawkins from the Jefferson County Public Schools Advisory Board member and RFA reviewer, Talia Rodriguez from JCMH. They do receive money for the co-responder program with the city of Wheat Ridge. Amber Dower is part of our physical agency. Kaylee Peterson is an advisory board member, now a grantee for Monarch Sober Living. Linda Behringer is the executive director for Just Living Recovery. Katie Yonker, Lakewood Police Department, They are a 2025 grantee for a co-responder program. Katie is also part of our advisory board. Sunshine Vincent, Clear Creek School District, hopefully soon to be an advisory board member. Michael Miller is representing JCPH. They will be a grantee. Michael Miller is also a voting member as an alternate. Dan Atten is a commander for Jefferson County Sheriff. And then Amber Qatar is the Quality Outcome Program Coordinator at Common Spirit Health, RFA reviewer, and advisory board member. We have George, go ahead.
Apologies, I was struggling to find the mute button, so I logged out and logged back in. Back to conflict of interest. Clear Creek County receives co-responder grant funding, and we have a conflict of interest on the consideration of the Mountain Youth Network application that will happen today.
Thank you. So next order of governance is we had 3 applications. Let me go into the chat because we have some stuff happening. Dr. Torrey said, sorry, I missed my chance. Voting member from JCPH, conflict, conditional award, which is what Commissioner Dahl-Kemper already declared, so you're good there. Sarah Gillingham said Clear Creek County has a conflict due to our affiliation with the CCHAP program for funding, and then as Commissioner Marlin just said, the Mountain Youth Network application being talked about later today. So we did have 3 applications go to the State Opioid Advisory Committee review. This is the equivalent of me taking an RFA to our community advisory board and asking simply, is this topic appropriate? Should it move forward? That is the weight of the advisory committee. So the first application was going to be the Jefferson County Public Health Department for spectrometers. Spectrometers are not an approved use for law enforcement. So I did request confirmation that we could use it for a harm reduction group. There is precedent. This application is good to go. The second application was Jefferson County Sheriff's Department for biometrics. Biometrics are not listed as an approved or not approved use, so I sought clarity on that. There is precedent that the biometric monitoring are an approved use for law enforcement, so that application was good. The third application was a community complaint or a community inquiry regarding a $1.2 million gift to Monarch Sober Living. We did clarify that this was not a gift, it was an investment. We did explain to the advisory committee that the home is already in operation, and the owner wanted to sell the home, so there was timeliness involved. The advisory committee loved keeping the program in the community, so this did get a stamp of approval, and we will be talking more about this application and this award later in the meeting today. We do have a reappointment for Gilpin. I'll turn it over to Commissioner Hollingsworth.
Yeah, so this is under our public health voting member. And we've had Director Alisa Witt serving as a voting member. And after a discussion with her, she decided to have her, and Marie, what's your title, Marie?
I am the community health specialist with Gilpin Public Health.
So Marie Larson, as you just heard. And so Director Witt thought it would be a great opportunity for Marie to participate in GROC and learn more about what the council's doing. And so we did already, our board approve that change. So now we are asking GROC to approve that change. And so Alisa would become the alternate and Marie would become the primary voting member for public health for Gilpin County.
Are there any questions from the voting members? George, you have a hand. Is that old?
Yeah, that was an old hand, sorry.
Tanya, do you have a hand? Old, okay. I'm looking for a motion. It cannot be Alisa or Marie.
This is Leslie. I'll go ahead and make a motion to select Marie Larson, Community Health Specialist, as the primary and Dr. Alisa Witt as the alternate.
This is Mayor Budd, and I will second that motion.
We'll vote by opposition in the chat. I'm not seeing anything, so this reappointment has been approved. So Marie, as we vote today, you are the voter. So please engage. All right, we do have another executive committee resolution that is linked for the for folks to see where we tracked changes. Move. So the people listed were previously named by name. So if someone rotated out, then we would have to go through an amendment to redesignate them. So there was a motion to change specifically the commissioners or their designee, and then change Alisa to Marie because of the appointment that we just approved, and then change this previously said Chris Habgood, who served as our fiscal agent. This is now a team of people, Chris, Amber, Andrea, sometimes they rotate through. So changing the language to be a fiscal agent to allow more flexibility in that team as they rotate through. And then the final one was to change. This delegation used to be the Jefferson County Fiscal Agent because they were in charge of monitoring the contracts. Monitoring awardees contracts will now be under my purview. So changing this from Chris Habgood to Program Manager. We'll open the floor for questions.
I have one. This is Commissioner Hollingsworth. I think there was brief discussion about listing for the counties that listing the position. So that would be Jefferson County Commissioner or their designee, Clear Creek County Commissioner or their designee, and Gilpin County Commissioner or the designee. We could also put the name of the person currently in parentheses after if you'd like, but that was a thought because I think the seat is going to always follow with that level for our counties, our commissioners, but that's one thought. What do the other commissioners think?
I'm comfortable with that. Is that because it's an elected position? Is that, and do we need to do something similar? And Mayor Budd, please feel free to weigh in on this too, but do we need to do something similar for the municipal seat on the executive committee? We have a Wheat Ridge Mayor, Bud Starker.
Right. I know when we are at, each county is given 5 voting member seats and they're by position. So we have human services, public health, law enforcement, and a city representative and a commissioner. And so that's how we select ours. And then we each have to vote. Each county council has to vote on their county. So it's really the positions. And then we can have, so for example, in our human services, we have Janie Barker, but she could say, I prefer it be a staff member who is interested in this topic and can attend. So the positions are great to follow with the voting members.
Eric has a comment.
Okay.
Yeah, I just wanted to clarify that although to date, every county voting member has been a commissioner, our IGA actually says that the county voting member can be an elected county commissioner or a senior member of staff. So it doesn't necessarily have to be a commissioner. If we were to list it by position, you might want to use the terminology county voting member. Same goes for the municipal position.
Or instead of or their designee, it would be senior, or it would be senior staff. that's what you're saying, to follow along with that, because each county board of commissioners approves the voting members.
Correct. The actual appointed position by each BCC is going to be either a senior staff member or a commissioner. But then that follow-on language, I believe, is intended to allow that voting member to designate some other person to play this role in their stead.
So this would say, instead of saying Leslie, it would say Jefferson County Commissioner or senior staff member or their designee.
Or simply county voting member, Jefferson County voting member or their designee.
And I'm sorry, but that's not actually how it works in practice. It is either a county commissioner or senior staff, as it says on the voting. So it doesn't have to say or designee. It could just say that.
This is Leslie, Jeffco Commissioner. I would love to weigh in on this. This is what happens when I miss an executive committee meeting because I was out of town. Question, I believe, forgive me if I'm wrong, that we have an alternate and it's Commissioner Zenzinger. So when we have an alternate for the county commissioner seat, it is another county commissioner. And I think that's critical. We are very fortunate, as you had mentioned, Commissioner Hollingsworth, to have representatives, senior staff level from Human Services, of course, Jeffco Public Health, and others from other stakeholder groups on the council. I think it's important that this is specifically designated as a county commissioner seat. And then the alternative, of course, would be a county commissioner is designated by the board of county commissioners from each respective county.
Well, because you can be on the executive committee and not be a voting member of GROC, i.e. Michael Miller.
Right, you sure can. But I think that in this case, what I'm saying is I would prefer to see a county commissioner in this role.
In the executive committee.
So I would, but that is what I would recommend. But if you think that, we should think about another senior member, a senior county member, we could certainly do that. I prefer to have a county commissioner, and maybe it's the alternate. Do you have alternates as well as your county commissioners?
Yes, and so my alternate is also a fellow county commissioner because we pick at the peer level. So I think that it will match with our voting members if it says county commissioner, or it could see either designee or senior staff member. It doesn't need to say both.
In the interest of time, we could keep the current executive committee members, Leslie or her designee, Georgia or designee, Sandy or designee, and then take this into the executive session on October 6th and talk about this a little bit more.
I guess I feel like two of us that are in those seats are preferring that say county commissioner.
So looking for a motion then.
I just to add my 2 cents here, I want to make sure that the body sort of understands and it's clear that this is a decision of the body, how they choose to appoint members to the executive committee. I think, as I understand it, the trade-off here is, are we asking the body to basically state that it will always be a county commissioner on the executive committee, and as counties appoint new commissioners, they're automatically there? Or are we doing what's in Chelsea's comment on this document, which is to say that if a new commissioner gets appointed, that new commissioner needs to seek a seat on the executive committee? I think that's the option here, and I just wanted to sort of state it in those words. And and then ask for clarification. I do think this is a decision to be made by all of the voting membership.
I would just reiterate that I'm sorry, Eric, go ahead and I'll.
Yeah, I just wanted to, first of all, answer George's question. Yes, this change will need to be voted on by all of the voting membership. And also point out that this or their designee language is quite broad as that stands. So that does not require that it be the alternate commissioner as written. If that's the intent, we should revise the language.
This is Leslie. Can you reiterate what the rationale was of the executive committee to add or designee?
That was in case we did want to appoint a county commissioner wants to appoint a non-county commissioner on the executive committee. So let's say, for example, we want to appoint our county manager, or someone else. That's why. It doesn't have to be. It was just a suggestion to make it broader.
Dr. Ryan?
I think that the further rationale is if we're ever in a situation in the 16 years to come where none of the county commissioners want to fulfill this role, we're not painted in a corner where we have nobody from the county because none of the three commissioners or however many are wanting to fulfill that role.
Thank you. Yeah, that was part of the discussion. I think that the three current commissioners and the alternates have a passion for the opioid work, and that may not be in the future. So it was just to make it broader.
I thank you. That's very helpful in terms of better understanding the rationale. I guess my feeling is that because we have three county commissioners that are on the vote, that are also voting members, I think I would just have a different perspective, and it's a-okay if we move forward with another designee. I do think that as the elected leaders, helping to allocate with this team of GROC those significant dollars that go to different nonprofit groups, it's important that the county commissioners are a part of this committee. And I also think because we each have an alternate, we could ask that alternate to serve on this committee in our stead. What's more, I think it's especially critical for Jeffco only as the fiscal agent. Certainly, we have our project manager who can help represent our county attorney and others. But I would prefer that we keep it as is. And then if we do run into the situation, maybe because I don't think we've run into concerns just yet on this one.
I can, again, in the interest of time, we can partially accept the changes, and I can put this specific, I can add this specific conversation to the 10-6 executive committee meeting. So there can be a motion to accept all of the changes in the resolution except Leslie, George, and Sandy add-on.
This is Leslie, so moved.
Second, George.
So we can vote by opposition in the chat or in the room. Just to clarify, the change was accepted to switch out Alisa for Marie, to change the name Chris Habgood to Regional Fiscal Agent, to allow more flexibility in that team, and then change the delegation of fiscal agent to the program manager to make minor changes to awardees. That's all that's being accepted today. I'm not seeing anything in the chat or in the room, so that is approved, and I will add the commissioner conversation to our 10-6 executive committee meeting where we can dive deeper into that. So we also, next order of business is that Denver Recovery Group has a revised budget. So their original application was for 2 years and included 2 parts, the Lakewood expansion and the Idaho Springs satellite location. The RFA review committee requested a revise and resubmit budget for only the Lakewood expansion. That was submitted from Denver Recovery Group as $181,124 in 1 year. So the time frame changed. When I went to submit the award letter to Denver Recovery Group, they noticed an error in their budget and they need to revise it down to $178,469.60 for 1 year. Floor is open for discussion. or motion?
It
This is
sounds like
Mayor,
there's no,
this is Mayor Starker, and I would make a motion to approve the revised figure.
and I'll second that. This is Commissioner Hollingsworth.
We'll vote by opposition in the chat and in the room. And I'm not seeing anything, so this amendment was approved. So finance report, we do have a cost amendment. This does not include the reduced Denver Recovery Group budget that was just approved, potentially the Mountain Youth Network application that's going to be discussed later today, and then the Euna proposal that I do have in the agenda later today. So this tells you what it looks like to the state. I'm not going to read through this for you. I went through this extensively at the advisory board meeting. I can also have a one-on-one, but it just identifies per line item what money is assigned to which contract, what money was allocated to an Exhibit E cost, approved use, but is not yet obligated to a contract. So this comes out to $5,034,458.43 that we have available to award out or expense. That is not obligated money. I will revisit this Euna later in the meeting. But this is just kind of an FYI where we're at in our auditing with the state. There was also a request specifically from Commissioner Hollingsworth to go over our projections of incoming funds. So Chris Habgood and Amber Dower put this document together that shows you what money is coming in. This is not entirely updated. This is what is available to us on the distributor website. So it says that we're supposed to be getting 31 million over the 18-year period. My cost center, which is the most up to date, anticipates that we will be getting $45 million over the 18-year period. So there is a lag time in how money is dispersed at the national level, then to the state, and how individual states decide what money goes to regional councils, what money goes to participating local governments. So there is a little bit of a lag time. This is our most up to date though. But even going off of the lowest number, we are looking, there's a lot of math here. We're looking at $2,646,299.78 as our average 18-year total. So yeah, we will continue to work with the state. Jack Patterson is currently out of office for another 2 weeks. But we will continue to work with the state to keep this as up to date as possible. Chris and Amber will continue to monitor the distributor website to keep this as up to date as possible. And we will continue to add it into our meetings as just kind of an FYI. There is a current contracts expense report is also in our agenda, just keeping you up to date on what the balance is for JCMH. Their contract again goes through September. The Clear Creek chat program will go until August 31st. Then they'll have their new budget. Gilpin County was paid in full. Advocates for Recovery, the Sedman Group, that contract is now ended, so that balance is zero. And then going over the 2025, 2026, nothing has changed here, so I will not repeat those numbers. And again, nothing has changed on this slide, so I will not repeat those numbers. Are there any questions, comments, or concerns about the finance report? All right.
Chelsea, I just want to say thank you for putting that all together so we can see it. I think my point in the earlier meetings was that we're front loaded, so we don't want to expend it all early and not carry any over. So, but thank you. It helps to see it on paper.
Yes. Also, just keeping folks appraised is that I did come into my position kind of halfway through. So we are working to figure out what our audit needs to look like, what information the council wants to see, the best way to represent that. So we will continue to refine that process. The next order of business is an RFA remediation. Please see slides 19 to 22 for an overview of the grant administration infrastructure that proved to be unstable, to kind of explain how this could have happened. So there were 2 applications that were initially uncaptured in the RFA review process. Once that was brought to my attention, these 2 applications were subjected to a process that mirrored the original process, which included presenting abstracts to the executive committee. The executive committee did decide to score those applications. They were scored against the original rubric, then subjected to the same type of advanced statistics to figure out where they fell in that bell curve. They did not advance past the scoring round. Those applicants did receive a status letter, a copy of their scorecards, just like all of the other applicants in the initial process. They also received a corrective action letter, identifying and taking accountability as well as responsibility for how this could have happened and the steps that we are taking as a council to ensure it does not happen again. Just reminding people, the analogy is that we are building the plane while flying it. We are building our policies and processes in real time as they come up. So feedback is always important, helping us be critically reflective and accountable to ourselves. Also within this process, 1 application was identified to be mistabulated or misscored, meaning that they should have advanced in the top 12 to group discussion, but they did not because of a human error. And so that application will be discussed right now. So just reminding people is that there will be a roughly 4-minute overview of the application by me, the program manager. Then the people who scored the application will have roughly 3 minutes to discuss in depth about their scorecard. There will be 4 minutes for general discussion. If the council would like to request a revise and resubmit, in which the application would go into the executive session, that would happen on October 6th. And then it would come back to the full council on November 10th for a final vote. That is an option, just providing you a timeline. Put my timer over here. So Mountain Youth Network aims to enhance youth mental health and reduce substance use in Clear Creek County through evidence-based prevention programs. The initiative focuses on middle and high school students, emphasizing community engagement, youth leadership, and family involvement to create a sustainable approach to substance use prevention. Their key summary of objectives is to deliver BOTFIN life skills to 100% of 7th and 8th graders annually, engage at least 30 youth per year in cost-free extracurricular programs, facilitate 4 teen-led substance use presentations, and host 2 family engagement events annually. The initiative primarily serves youth aged 10 to 18 in Clear Creek, focusing on those facing barriers to traditional support services, including low-income families and underrepresented groups. Summary of strengths of the proposal: strong community support and established partnerships with local organizations and schools, a proven track record of engaging youth through evidence-based programs and leadership opportunities, weaknesses and additional comments from the scorecards document that may be addressed in the narrative. 1, measurement of risk factor reduction. The scorecards mention a lack of clarity on how risk factor reduction will be measured. The narrative outlines a clear evaluation plan that includes tracking program attendance, participation demographics, and student feedback, as well as using data from the Healthy Kids Colorado survey to measure trends over time in substance use and mental health. Number 2, cultural and linguistical needs. One of the weaknesses noted that while the proposal mentions addressing cultural and linguistic needs, it does not specify how. The narrative addresses this by discussing the implementation of culturally relevant, culturally and linguistically appropriate services to improve service quality and reduce health disparities, ensuring accessibility and comprehensibility of services for all individuals. Number 3, budget concerns. The scorecards indicate that the budget numbers may seem high for the designated staffing needs. The narrative does provide a budget summary that outlines how requested funds will cover personnel, supplies, transportation, stipends for peer educators, which does help clarify the budget's proposed purpose and necessity. The evaluation plan, generally, this is a good evaluation plan. The council is encouraged to allow myself and the awardee of the upcoming program evaluation, RFA, to engage in capacity building around the evaluation plan. The proposal seeks a total budget of $364,325.06 for year 1 of implementation, with $10,000 requested for the current fiscal year and $330,000 for the following 2 years. Key expenditures include personnel, supplies, and transportation for youth. So then I will yield the floor to the first scorecard representative. And please let me know if you would like me to take over reading your scorecard, but that is going to go to Barb, Commissioner Hollingsworth, and Heidi McCollum. And then as a reminder, our folks from Clear Creek have a conflict of interest. So that'd be George, Dr. Ryan, and Janine. Barb, do you want me to read your scorecard?
Yeah,
Apologies.
if you would. Great.
Quick question, Dr. Shore. I certainly have a conflict of interest and will not be commenting. Janine Mariani does not work for Clear Creek County, and she's not on the elected body of Clear Creek County. I do not believe she has a conflict of interest.
Yeah, I know we just discussed, Dr. Chelsea, just my organization I work for has like a partnership with Mountain Youth Network, so that it might not be an official conflict, but could maybe be viewed as such, was our discussion.
Eric, can you weigh in?
I think that unless we need Janine's vote to proceed, I think it's appropriate for her, based on what she just said, to conservatively withhold from any comment.
All right. So Barb was the first reviewer. And Barb said I'll go straight to the strengths and the weaknesses. Barb identified strengths as having clear objectives to deliver bottom life skills to 100% of 7th and 8th graders annually, engage at least 30 youth per year in cost-free extracurricular outdoor programs, facilitate 4 teen-led substance use presentations to younger peers, host 2 family engagement events annually focused on substance education and wellness, open a permanent Mountain Youth Network Youth Center, and host at least 4 hours of additional pro-social opportunities monthly, collect and report participation data and outcomes quarterly. The evaluation plan is clear. The weakness that Barb identified was, although the evaluation plan is clear, there is not a clear understanding of how risk factor reduction will be measured. Barb, is there anything else that you recall? There are no additional comments.
No, I don't believe so. Thank you.
Commissioner Hollingsworth, you're the next reviewer. Do you want me to read your scorecard, or are you good? Do you want me to read your scorecard for you?
You're good at speed reading. I might not make it in the 4 minutes.
Okay.
Sure.
I know that was a long time ago. I'm so sorry, folks. So Commissioner Hollingsworth identified some strengths as having strong community partners, support for the continuation of this existing program for youth addressing substance abuse, mental health, social and educational needs of youth through partnership with the school and other agencies. It mirrors the similar program in Gilpin County and Jeffco, with each serving residents in and around their county and schools and recreation settings. There's a proven success since its inception in 2016, with data and participation in self-reported outcomes overviewed, blending funding from other sources to cost share and solidify commitments from partners in the community and GROC region. It meets the GROC priority area of funding youth prevention and education programs this round. The weaknesses identified were a potential loss of funding given the national and state funding constraints are not addressed. Mentions responding to individuals' cultural and linguistic needs but doesn't specify how. Food, supplies, and materials is not well itemized and is $25,000 of the requested budget. It would be helpful to reviewers to see how this will be used and if the amount listed is based on past actual annual expenses. Some additional comments included the budget line item needs food and materials more specificity, and if it based on budget actuals from past year. Youth prevention and education is a GROC priority area this funding round. They have operated since 2016 and appear to have a successful model and partners to allow expanding outreach. Do you have any additional input?
No, I think that that's fine. And I don't know if we will get to the point, are we going to perhaps move to fully fund or partially fund today?
If you would not like to request a revise and resubmit, then yes, that would be the next step.
All right, I'll wait till we get to that point.
Yeah, and then I can address the potential loss of funding given the national and state funding constraints are not addressed. They had an answer to that when the application closed. So I don't think they could speak to it at that time. The application was due.
Right.
And then in terms of wanting an itemized budget, when you get to the approval, you can conditionally approve that that budget is sent to us and reviewed in the executive session.
Right, which is what might be part of the motion, yeah.
All right, and then the next reviewer was Heidi McCollum. 3 strengths identified was that this application is supported by both school districts in Clear Creek County. It is supported by local law enforcement agencies and local businesses. It provides education for junior high school age youth about substance use disorder and alternative healthy lifestyle skills. In terms of weaknesses, Heidi identified that the budget numbers may seem a bit high for the designated staffing needs, and it focuses on primarily only serving Clear Creek County youth. As a reminder, I don't know if that's necessarily considered a weakness so much as a limitation, just to think about. Heidi is not here to provide input on that application, so I will go ahead and input 4 minutes on the floor for group discussion. And then when the buzzer goes off, I will be asking for some type of motion. Go ahead, Sandy.
Hi, this is Commissioner Hollingsworth. I have a question. I was wondering why Heidi McCollum's score is so much lower than the other scores. Do you know?
Why
that is?
Heidi's score is lower?
Yeah, she has a score of 71 and the others out of 125. And the other scores are,
So it should have been 125, and it was initially reported as 71.
so her score is
So
125.
her score is 125.
Out of 145? Was that or 150?
I think it's 150 off the top of my head.
Okay, because the others are 145 and
Yeah.
142. Okay. But anyway, I guess it's still lower. So we don't really know what her thinking was. Okay.
No, and then I highlighted on the scorecard is private, only the review committee can see it. I highlighted the 2 areas that were mistabulated. There could have been, right, we know that the score form is not the most appropriate form to be using, so there could have been another error in the scoring there, which hopefully my proposal will solve. Two minutes.
So I have a question. With this application, will they be going in and teaching the classes themselves, or will they be working with teachers already in the schools? Do you know?
I do not know off the top of my head. I know that they are already delivering this program though, so it's just continuing to deliver it. If there is no more discussion, we can move straight into a motion. So you can do a revise and resubmit. You can do a fund, a partially fund, a not fund, a conditional fund.
This is Leslie, Commissioner, Jeffco Commissioner Leslie Dalkemper. I would be open to making a motion to approve this application and also at the same time asking this applicant to provide a little bit more detail around some of the issues that came up specifically in Commissioner Hollingsworth's comments. Our project manager, Dr. Chelsea, shared the issues around the funding sources, but I think Commissioner Hollingsworth, you had raised some questions related to how they'll address cultural awareness related issues.
Right, and I don't think it rises to the level of a revise and submit. For me, it's just some more information. Now that some time has passed, they probably have these answers. And then the 25,000 for the food supplies and materials is just one lump line item. So just some more specificity, but I don't think it rises to the resubmit level.
So the motion is a conditional fund on seeing a more itemized budget and how they respond to the cultural relevant materials. Okay. Yes, I got a correction. So Commissioner Dahlkemper made the motion. Is there a second?
I'll second that. That's Commissioner Hollingsworth again.
Vote by opposition in the chat and in the room. All right, this was awarded, so I will work to send out that revised status letter and again, a correction active notice. The next order of business, and just to let people know, we are 15 minutes behind, so I will be going over today. I do sincerely apologize why we were dealing with the new check. So I, as the program manager, am making a formal request to the GROC voting body to approve $17,000 per year for a minimum of 5 years to invest in a grant administration and management software called Euna. This was already prospected by current grantees, the 2025-2026 grantees, and our advisory board with a recommendation to approve this. But when I initially went through our grant process, I learned that this was not sustainable. This is not responsible grant administration infrastructure for how the GROC desires their fiscal responsibility. And I immediately approached the council and the Jefferson County Business Innovation Technology Department to work on prospecting a software that does grant administration. So this gives an overview of our process. It is manual. This is all done by hand. The executive committee also made a tentative recommendation to approve. I will open the floor if there's a modification for that in a moment. But this slide also goes over the current RFA process on what is deemed grant administration. And then this goes over the current grant management process of what is deemed grant management. So there's two kind of parts of grant making, and the GROC does both of them. Again, it is all done by email. It is all done by hand. Euna is a one-stop shop that completely simplifies the process. Instead of dealing with Google Drive and emailing you 6 different attachments 6 different times, you will just log into Euna. Your scorecard will be right there. As we saw with the Monday.com form, that if someone wants to type in -9, they can type in -9. And then I have to do manual data cleaning to try to catch all of those. And when we have 51 applications, that is a lot of data, and I only gave myself the weekend to do that. Euna does allow us to put parameters. It will flag you. It will not let you submit your scorecard if you type in a negative number or a number out of range. And then it does kind of that different ranking of who should advance in the system for you. It would also create timelines for the awardees so they know when their invoices are due. The budget is built into the Euna software, so they have to bill against the budget in one spot. They can't modify it themselves. It has to go through a series of checks and balances. I will go ahead and open the floor first to the executive committee because I did misspeak when I said there was not a term limit. There is a 5-year term limit. Commissioner Hollingsworth, you were the only person who got back to me who said this might change your recommendation. So I do want to open the floor for that.
Yes, and that was just a question whether we would get locked in case in you're using it or applicants using it, they didn't like using it. But in talking to you further, and also that you've reiterated it's from interest, so we're not taking it from funding dollars, I don't have a concern. I think it sounds valuable, and I think we've talked about it in multiple meetings now, and it has many benefits for applicants, for grant funding. It'll flag if there's overspending in an area, underspending in an area, so that the money that's being allocated is being allocated for its purpose and not being shifted around as the temptation might be there. But I think also just because it'll make it easier for the applicants, that's really important. And I'll just add that I asked our current past grant manager, she's in a different position, if she was aware of Euna, and she said it was excellent and she wished that we had it.
And I did meet with my counterparts in the other 18 regional councils, and everyone's process looks like this. We are all crying because this is so difficult for us. So I really do believe that this would change how we do business in the most positive way. The floor is open to the rest of the voting council. Commissioner Dahl-Kemper.
Thanks so much. A couple quick thoughts on this. You know, one of the key values we've had throughout this process is making sure we have strong accountability and transparency in the work that we do. I especially like the one-stop nature of this and the other comments that Commissioner Hollingsworth made, in addition to the streamlined nature, and it also helps to build in more accountability. And I think that in turn also helps us to communicate to our community about the work that we're doing. All of the information is at our fingertips, and I would strongly support this effort, this particular software. Thanks, or platform. I will say I was just waiting 1 second to see if there was anyone else who wanted to weigh in. If not, I'd like to go ahead and make a motion to approve the request for $17,000 a year with a 5-year commitment for the Euna Grant Administration Management Platform.
Dr. Story raised their hand.
Yeah, I'll second. I had a question, but I can save it, but I'll just second. How about that?
Go ahead and ask your question.
It's cloud-based software, yes?
Yes.
So is the price per seat or is it per grant?
There's a range depending on how much you grant make that they price you at. And so in the minutes, if I can have Laura drop in the price proposal.
Oh, I see. Okay.
Yeah, and then it's also in the meeting packet that I sent you. I did include the price proposal. So there's also conversation that if Jefferson County wanted to purchase the license, that GROC could merge the license in with them. And when Katie and I were initially doing our business analysis, we took a ballpark on how much Jefferson County grant makes and then added in GROC to that. And they quoted us like $23,000. And then GROC would pay a portion of that for our own grant making.
Right.
So that might happen in like a year or two, somewhere down the line.
Okay, you read my mind. the reason I asked was I was thinking about consistency in process between GROC and the county's portion and the approach that they're taking with their grant making. And I'm also thinking of our other settlement dollars that we steward personally here at the health department through Jewel. And by the time we're able to get our like community micro grants process up and running in a year or so, this could be a great economies of scale where it's truly a one-stop shop for like resident-based grants for impact. So I'm excited about this. Like, I think this is such an amazing opportunity to lead in the innovation space. So wholeheartedly second this. And thank you for answering my question.
Yes, and I will get you in contact with our point of contact, and maybe we can still merge our licenses.
Yeah, for sure. Thank you.
We will vote by opposition in the chat or in the room. Or again, if there's any last minute questions. All right, this is approved. All right, we are going into Monarch Contracting. So this is not intended to be a, let me backpedal, sorry. The Monarch investment for the $1.2 million of purchasing the sober living home was a conditional fund that the council agreed to the terms and conditions. And so Jean and Kaylee have been going back and forth, making excellent process. We did send you the draft on Saturday. My apologies, it was late. It's still draft. We're almost near completion. I am going to turn it over to Jean to give a high-level summary. So I know that we have Kaylee, potentially her lawyer here, to answer any broad questions. Remember, this is not intended to be a meeting of lawyers, a rebuttal, a final decision, very high-level public-facing conversation. And I will turn it over to Jean.
Hi, everyone. This is Jean, county attorney, assistant county attorney with Jefferson County. As Chelsea points out, we were, as part of the conditional approval, we attempted to see if we could reach final agreement on all of the relevant contract terms before this came back in front of you. And we got really close. As Chelsea points out, it is still subject to final negotiation of a few remaining terms, but at least verbally, we've reached agreement on all of the main points. And so I just wanted to quickly run through those so that the council is aware of what the set of agreement terms would be. And this is a special circumstance because, as you've seen in the past with other capital purchases or investments, the terms are sort of specially negotiated as opposed to the standardized service agreement terms. So I know you received drafts on Saturday. I'm happy to look at or answer questions about any of it. I would say, though, that the core material terms are set forth in the document that's called the Description of Obligations. And these are a few different, I would say, fall into a few categories. The first is the group that's all in the terms of property acquisition. And more or less, all of these cover the expectation for Monarch to how they would purchase it, when they would purchase the property by, titling expectations, as well as an agreement to record or execute a promissory note and execute and record a deed of trust in the same amount of the award, 1.224 million. And that the terms of these, essentially, they provide that there is no expectation of repayment as long as Monarch meets its expectations under the contract. Those expectations are in really the next section, next couple sections, I would say. The first one is the section C is really the restrictions on the use of that property. And I believe you've already heard this bit, but the key bit here is that it would be an exclusive agreement to exclusively use this property for 15 years as a, what do we call it? Apologies. Recovery center, certified recovery residence, with all these expectations, both some of which are, on the use of it, as well as others, just to ensure that the property, remains well maintained and all that sort of thing. That Monarch doesn't agree to pledge it as collateral for other debts, which could potentially cause it to be lost or anything like that. And that continues on to section D as well. So C and D talk about that. And then finally, I'd say the last material piece is the Region 10 Scholarship Program. And this is the section, and I'll turn it over to Chelsea to describe a little further, but this is the agreement to, reserve the slots in this property for residents of Region 10 and to provide all such residents with a discounted program so that the residents of Region 10 receive a benefit, a financial benefit over the 15-year period of time. So with that, Chelsea, why don't you go into a little more detail on Region 10, and then we can, on the Region 10 Scholarship Program, and then if anyone has questions about the terms, I can answer those.
Yes, while I'm working to find the visual aid for the scholarship program, so normal funding is $1,200, $1,200, which is divided into $600 of programming and $600 of rent. By purchasing the home, we are taking out the $600 of rent. So in month 1, people would only pay $600, month 2, $600, month 3, $600. So the return on investment is roughly $1.88 million. If we want to see what else is possible or potential because we purchased the home, there are additional funding streams not regulated by our contract through fines, signal, and private foundation money that could mean someone only pays $200 of programming fees in month 1, 2, and 3. It could potentially be free of charge for someone for 3 months. So an upper bound of return on investment is closer to, I believe, 3 million off the top of my head. Let me find my visual for you. I'm really struggling with technology today, folks. Not the right one. So it looks like, it could look like, and then I'm not even sharing my screen. There we go. So again, this is the regular pay structure. This would be GROC funding the home. This is potential additional hardship scholarships through other funding streams. Again, it could be 222, 444, free, all the way around. So basing the high discount on that $200 a month, you're looking at the income versus the full pay. It's an 83% decrease, so that's money saved for participants. Again, there's a lot of math here, finding specifically the upper bounds of the discount. Yeah, 2 million. Right here would be the upper bounds, and 1.188 million would be, again, the bare minimum return on investment. I'll go ahead and open the floor for conversation. Commissioner Marlin.
Now I'm unmuted. I have only one comment to make. It's a general comment with one specific example, which is as we work towards a final, we may be over specifying services delivered in a way that could prevent flexibility. The specific example I have is when I look at the required services, no use of property. I see Monarch, item 1, Monarch shall provide uninterrupted access to 11 recovery beds at the property for women. Should Monarch choose to, for some reason, to not have it be only women, or for some reason switch to men, would GROC want to prevent that kind of flexibility?
It's written in the contract that they would have to give us, I believe, a 90-day notice so that the council can discuss, does that still align with the initial investment? So if Kaylee can prove, hey, I see a need to change this from women to men, here's kind of the landscape of where we're at in our homes, do I have permission to do this? That would go to the council to decide, does this still align with the initial investment? So we did write in potential for flexibility.
Thank you. And my understanding is that my opinion is that decisions at that level of programming, I don't know that I need to require in a contract that they come ask me for permission. Not a strong opinion, just an observation.
That was written in based off of group discussion, is that the council did want to have notice of if there was a justification for it. So that was written in based off of group discussion.
This Commissioner Hollingsworth, I'll just add that in the discussion, that application actually focused on women because women are one of the most underserved in the area as far as recovery housing like this. And so my recollection is that we did really want to promote it be used for women. But since it has that clause in there that it could be changed with discussion, I think that's good for the future.
Okay, thank you. And I chose that as an example. In general, as we look at this contract, I like the idea of granting flexibility. GROC has a lot of different programs and money to manage and very tight agendas. And so my encouragement in general is to allow for some programming flexibility, not trying to focus specifically on it, nor do I have a strong opinion on that specific advanced example I brought up.
If there's no further conversation or questions, I'm happy to go ahead to make a motion in support of this contract to conditionally approve the award on 6/23 pending review and including these highlights that we've been discussing.
This is Tim Ryan. I would second that.
We will vote by opposition in the chat or in the room. And I am not seeing anything. So Kaylee and Jean, this will be back to our court for finalization. All right, so this is our last major order of business, and we do have a couple options. This was initially a 20-minute format. Given time, would people be okay if we drop this to a 15-minute format? I'm looking for yeses in the room, yeses online. Okay. I do need to make sure who we have in the room right now. We're okay right now. So we have an RFA, request for applications for program evaluation. We did only have 2 applicants, and the executive committee voted that on a revised review process, that the executive committee would score both RFAs. I would compile the scorecard information into a revise and resubmit document issued to the respective applicants no later than 8/21. The applicants will provide written responses to the revise and resubmit to me no later than 8/24. And then we would have a group discussion in an interview style format. So we did ask representatives from both organizations to attend today. I'm gonna ask for guidance from Eric and John on how I clarify who is in the room and making sure that other people are not in the room.
Yeah, Chelsea, do both applicants understand your plan to kind of have each of them in the room one at a time?
Yes, that was explained in the email.
I would just ask if anyone from the other one is in the room.
Okay, so we are gonna start with Omni Institute. So I just wanna clarify that no one from the Stedman group is in the room. All right, it looks like we're good. So I am gonna go ahead and put 15 minutes, 15 minutes on the clock. Let me pull up our discussion notes. And then I also just want to make sure that we have Omni in the room.
Omni is in the room.
All right.
I'm just coming off mute to check in and make sure y'all are still there.
I'm coming. I'm coming.
Okay.
I'm struggling. I'm in a new place today, so I'm like relearning all my tech. All right, so Omni Institute does have a 2-year budget of $119,805. They are a nonprofit organization specializing in opioid settlement, fund evaluation, and strategic planning with over 40 years of experience in research and evaluation. The organization aims to support Gateway to the Rockies and evaluating effectiveness of its programs. They have deliverables include a timeline for key activities such as project kickoff meetings, baseline assessments, and quarterly data collection. Omni will provide quarterly data summaries and an annual evaluation report to GROC, highlighting achievements and guiding future funding decisions. They do operate on a 3D framework. I'm trying to save as much time for group discussion as I can. And then I will go ahead and open the floor to maybe the reviewers, the executive committee, if you want to talk about your scorecards. Yeah. It was in the email, but let me drop it for you. Yeah, you're in the restricted folder. So you would be able to review it. I just dropped it in the chat, Leslie, for you. So Leslie did identify 3 strengths. Comprehensiveness, thoughtful approach with accountability and transparency as major thorough lines. Strong focus on what's working well, areas for improvement and future opportunities. Reports are quarterly, which are timely for course correction as needed, in addition to an annual report, creation of public-facing data dashboard. The firm has extensive experience with other regional opioid abatement councils in Colorado, as well as other states. Omni specializes in highly accessible, visible data and has worked with a wide variety of stakeholders, from elected officials to community members to subject matter experts. 3 weaknesses include that she would like to know more about how the broader community, apart from the executive committee and voting council and grantees, would be part of the evaluation process. They would like to see more samples of their data graphics for the public, and would like to know more about what research has been done with users of data on the front end to best inform how data are communicated. And this response was provided in the revise and resubmit. And then again, we do have Omni in the room if anyone would like to ask clarifying questions. Are there any questions, comments, or concerns from the voting members who did not directly score? We are going to have time after Omni with our next group, and then there will be 8 minutes without either applicant in the room to discuss in comparison and make a decision. And then Laura, just so you know, we do have someone from our other applicant in the room. Please do not let them in yet. Do folks have any pointed questions that I could potentially answer? Hold on just a second before people start speaking. Just to clarify, we do not have anyone from the Stedman group in the room. Okay, we are safe to continue conversing. Do you have any questions? Do you know who you're gonna pick? Do you know who you're gonna pick? Okay.
I just want to let the room know that your microphones are hot.
I'm coaching Marie on her new role. I was asking if she had any questions she wanted to ask, if she knew what her vote was going to be. It's in the revise and resubmit document, but if you want to ask them directly, you can.
Dr. Chelsea, this is Amber. Can you hear me okay? Okay, hi.
We can hear you, but your volume's a little bit low.
Okay, let me speak up. Sorry, I'm also fighting a cold, so bear with me. I just noticed there's a couple times it was asked if the Stedman group was here. Maybe a silly question, but why? Why would that matter?
Because they're the competing applicant. So it would be a conflict of interest for them to be in the room during the group discussion of Omni Group.
I see. So they also placed a bid?
Yes.
I see. Sorry, I may have missed that part. Thank you.
I think it might warrant a little explanation too why Rhiannon is sitting in front of us as Omni, because some might not know that she switched. Just as a point of clarification.
Thank you, Dr. Ryan.
I'm happy to speak to that briefly if that would be helpful, Dr. Ryan.
No,
Hi,
I get
folks.
it.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay,
I don't
cool.
think that, yeah, I think you're good. I think Commissioner Hollingsworth has a question.
Well, since we have time, if you don't mind, Rhiannon, could you address the comments in your revise and resubmit, just kind of a summary of them, because I'm just looking at the original reviews, and so we all had things that we wanted addressed, just so we can hear it. Thank you.
Yeah, I'm happy to do so. So we actually had 8 different kind of questions or topic areas in our revise and resubmit. So I can give like a really aggressively high level summary of each. And if anybody wants to dig in deeper anywhere, we can definitely do that with the time that we have left. The first question that we got was in regards to Omni's understanding of the contextual background, both as it pertains to substance use and behavioral health, but also our experience both with GROC and Gilpin, Clear Creek, and Jefferson County doing work in these places. Tons of regional opioid abatement council experience, both bringing the historical experience I have with GROC, as well as other regional opioid abatement evaluation experience, predominantly in Region 4 of the northeastern corner of the state for other folks on the team. We've also been doing extensive opioid settlement research and work, both from a strategic planning and an evaluation place in other states like Virginia and North Carolina. We have extensive experience doing kind of public health related work across the 3-county region. So we are quite familiar with the overall landscape. The next question that we got in our R&R was around community engagement in the evaluation process. And this is something that's really important to Omni. Our values as an organization include a lot of the same things that GROC includes, like accountability and transparency. And so to engage the community in our process, we have a couple of different ways to do that, including the public-facing data dashboard. Couple opportunities for folks to give early input on how the evaluation is built and what we really want to see in it. Couple opportunities for actual user feedback. So folks who are engaging in our surveying, ways for them to say that it's working and we can kind of course correct there, as well as annual stakeholder surveys so that we can assess the greater community's perception of kind of GROC evaluation overall. I'm gonna just say, hey, Chelsea, if I need to speed up or skip or stop, let me know.
You are at, we have 5 minutes on the clock.
Okay.
So I think that's really at the, oh, go ahead.
Third R&R was just examples of our work, which I'll skip for now. We also provided some insight on our approach to user research and data collection. I think I'll go ahead and skip over that. It gets a little bit more in the evaluation weeds, but know that we do provide usability testing. We tailor things based on audience, and we have a lot of accessibility and equity considerations in our approach. We provided a detailed timeline. That was another request. And then I think the last thing that's maybe worth highlighting here is our interest and ability to be flexible and responsive to in-person needs of the council. In our proposal, we had said we would do kind of 4 in-person meetings, but at the end of the day, we can deliver whatever you all need. We have at least 3 staff for this project who are local to Denver and would love to come and meet folks wherever they are at. So I just wanted to clarify that as well. Just going to acknowledge that was a really quick and dirty summary of an R&R. So happy to dig in with whatever time we have left.
I have a question. Hi, Rhiannon. Good to see you. Can you speak to your organization's capacity to implement this contract.
Yeah, great to see you, Commissioner Marlin. I think I'm going to pass it off to Alayla, who is project oversight, and she has a really great command on the deep bench at Omni.
Name is Alayla Kay. Hello there, Commissioner Marlin. We had worked together on the Clear Creek Needs Assessment back in the day. It's nice to see you. Yes, we definitely have capacity to do this type of project. We both have a lot of now hard-learned expertise around evaluating opioid settlement work. We've been doing that for about 2 years now, so we definitely get to pass on some of those early learnings and places where we have built our own capacity up within this space, as well as just the capacity around staffing. So for this type of project, we would have a pretty robust project team to call upon for all of the work that is required, as well as, you know, we also have the whole of Omni behind our project team, which includes a total of 50 staff at our organization, but quite a wide and deep bench of researchers, evaluators, as well as facilitators who are able to integrate across evaluation into councils such as yourselves being able to really use that data for planning and continuous improvement and showing impact. So I'll just give time and space for either my colleague Sean to add anything to that. But yeah, thanks for that question.
Yeah, I'm happy to add to a little bit of that too. I think Rhiannon and Layla summarized everything really well, but from the evaluation standpoint, we have kind of developed like a tailored process to the councils that we're doing evaluation work with. And what we find is that while there is always a strive for synergy and for standardization across the state, it's really a focus on working closely with those that are funded partners alongside the council and figuring out what is needed for each funded provider and their services and what are their capacities. And so not only do we have our own capacity, but we have a deep background in being able to support capacity building and funded partners through strengthening their data collection and really representing the hard work that they're doing with these settlement dollars.
30 seconds. All right, and on that, we are going to ask the Omni Group to leave. You will be hearing from me later today. Thank you so much. And then I think everyone from Omni Institute gone? All right, I'm going to go ahead and let the Stedman Group in. Hello, Stedman Group.
Hello,
Hi.
hello.
You guys want to give us a brief introduction?
Sure. Yeah, we're happy to. I'm JK, and I'm our Director of Behavioral Health Consulting.
Hey everyone, my name's Bree, and I'm a consultant with the Stedman Group.
All right, there's 15 minutes on the clock. The Stedman Group has a 2-year budget of $119,968.40. The Stedman Group is a woman-owned consultancy specializing in behavioral health and opioid settlement fund evaluation with a strong track record of over 15 years in the field. The organization aims to support GROC in evaluating effectiveness of funded programs and processes to address the opioid crisis in Region 10. They have outcomes and process components of the evaluation. They plan to utilize mixed methods approach for data collection, including surveys, focus groups, and administrative data reviews. They'll conduct one-on-one technical assistance meetings with funded partners to solidify their goals and existing data collection systems. Their proposal includes a timeline for key activities such as project kickoff meetings, baseline assessments, quarterly data collection. They will provide quarterly data summaries and an annual evaluation report to the GROC. And then I will go ahead and open the floor to the voting members.
This is Leslie, JEPCO Commissioner Leslie Dahlkemper. As I looked at the strengths of this proposal, I thought the Stedman Group offered extensive national experience in opioid settlement evaluation research, has worked with GROC since its inception. And as we noted, the Omni team has a member who has as well. The methodology includes quantitative and qualitative data to analyze GROC effectiveness. The Stedman Group has also worked with other ROACs in Colorado and in several other states, and I think offers a diverse team with exceptional expertise and background. And then finally, the Stedman Group's evaluation methods seem to me, as I was reading through the proposal, comprehensive, clearly spelled out, a thorough list of several questions under key and varied categories for analysis, and integrates regional county overdose data. I liked also that focus groups were built into the process. So we tackled the data in a couple of different ways. The only thing that I would have liked to have seen a little bit more of is examples of the Stedman Group's data dashboards, but I like the visual of what was included in the proposals. And in the proposal, there was an example, and would love to see how we might build that further. Just quick comments from me. Thanks.
Thank you, Commissioner Leslie. I'm happy to show more of the dashboard. I'm not sure if that was a question or if it was comments. I'm happy to share more of what the interactive dashboard for a different region might look like. If I can have screen sharing capabilities.
Yeah, how about this? Let's see if we have other comments or questions, and then maybe we could pull that up.
Okay,
if we have some time toward the end. That would be great.
Perfect.
Thank you.
This is Commissioner Hollingsworth. Hi. I was reading through even the revise and resubmit. I think my impression is that there's been great focus within and for Jefferson County and not so much for the other rural counties. So if you can explain any experience with evaluation in the rural counties, Clear Creek and Gilpin. And then on the rate, it looks like everybody's paid the same rate. There's no tiered hourly rate. So is that the way that your practice works there too? Thank you.
Bree, do you want to talk about our experience in rural counties?
Yeah, sure. We haven't had direct experience in Clear Creek and Gilpin counties as far as evaluation goes, but we do have extensive experience in rural counties for both qualitative and quantitative evaluation related to opioid settlement spending. So for example, we are leading the evaluation in Region 1, which is the Northwest Colorado region. It is a very rural region. So we're learning with, working with understaffed communities and vulnerable populations in those rural communities and learning how to involve the community in a really transparent and interactive way, even in those rural communities that we have a lot of experience with getting the right people to the table. So both in Colorado and nationally, we have national experience in rural communities in North Carolina, South Carolina, Pennsylvania. And we are, again, working with those communities to address gaps and work with them very transparently on their evaluation.
And I'm sorry you feel that way, Commissioner Hollingsworth. I know it's hard to balance such a large county with two smaller counties. I believe that, and I could be wrong here, that Clear Creek and Gilpin have gotten, well, less than Jefferson County, more than their proportionate share of funds. And I think that's a balance that we've navigated reasonably well. And we do have experience actually in Gilpin County, a few years, not evaluation, not opioid settlement experience directly, but visited their jail to help them develop their MOED program. So we've been in rural counties all over the state, Region 15, up in Region 1, and done evaluations in those two, and have pretty good methods to make sure that we're analyzing smaller populations comprehensively. On the pay, we do, in our revise and resubmit, we allocated different rates to our director level. And it just so happens that our 4 other consultants on this are at the consultant level. So they're actually all at the same job level. And that's why you see the same rate for them.
Thank you for those answers.
We're at 8.5 minutes on the clock. While there's a little bit of dead space, Bree, JK, if maybe you want to give a very high level summary of your revise and resubmit, the questions that were asked and how they were addressed.
Sure, yeah. So the first question I think was addressed about the rates, the standard rates. And then it also asked about the primary focus of our team. And we mentioned that we are the only team that we are aware of whose primary focus is opioid settlement evaluation facilitation. We have an entire team at Stedman Group dedicated to this work. It's our only projects in opioid settlement evaluation facilitation. And we have a lot of expertise in the area. JK, anything else to say on that first question on their R&R that was asked?
Yeah, definitely as we grow and we do things out of state, I understand there's questions about our ability to maintain focus here. In fact, all of our recent new hires have been in Colorado, including one today in Jefferson County. So we're very much a Colorado-based firm, do most of our work in Colorado. And this has been our primary work that's actually allowed us to help other states and other counties that are further behind in their work. So rather than a lack of focus, I see it as a huge strength that we're Colorado-based, we always will be, and this will be our primary focus.
And then the next question in the revise and resubmit asked about a community engagement related to obtaining outcome feedback. And so in the revise and resubmit, we suggested to host focus groups to get more qualitative output around those community outcomes for substance use and opioid use in the region. So hosting at least 4 focus groups within the region to gather feedback on council's effectiveness, transparency, communication, stakeholder engagement, funding decisions, as well as outcome metrics to analyze the implementation of the programming across the region.
5.5 minutes on the clock.
Then there was a question about budget clarity to the rates that JK was referring to. I believe Dr. Schwer-Miller dropped the link to the revise and resubmit in the chat, and there's a big old table in there. You can see the rates and hours broken up into each activity for each project member.
And on part B, we added a note about rates that is a rate per hour per person and some of the reasons why our rates are what they are. A few of those being that we have no entry-level consultants on this. Everyone who's going to work with you are people that you've worked with before, as well as high-level folks who've worked with NORC and RAND on opioid settlements and evaluation specifically. We keep our staffing adequate, but also don't overstaff. And so we save on hours. We also save on hours because we're not relearning everything because we're already on this project. And there's a few bullet points there on how we benefit your region beyond just evaluation, and that our regions that we've worked with previously on facilitation evaluation have outperformed as far as gaining shares of the Attorney General's as well as Colorado Opioid Abatement Council settlements, because we help our regional opioid abatement council stay informed and be united when they apply for statewide grants like that.
The next question asked about timeline. Thanks, Dr. Schwer-Miller. So you can go on the R&R and look at the timeline. It has very specific dates all the way through the end of the contract period with very specific activities, and whether it be in person, virtual, or to be determined. I'm going to skip through to talk about the evaluation process question about addressing underperformance in grantees. We have a very specific process that we follow when addressing underperformance or performance in general with grantees. It's a very straightforward stoplight system. So we set the performance expectations and monitor progress. So each grantee goals are tied to a stoplight style framework. Green is at or above the goal, yellow is slightly below the goal, and red is significantly below the goal. When we present to council those quarterly evaluation updates, each organization is going to be presented alongside a stoplight color, green, yellow, or red. That will give council a very clear indication of where that grantee stands. Now, what may cause a grantee to go to yellow or red? It could be a number of different factors. It could be their metrics themselves. They're under reporting their metrics. It could also be related to processes and communications. Are they submitting their data at all on the due date? Are they communicating effectively with us? Are they communicating with the council? So they can be identified as yellow and red for many different reasons. But once we, if we identify someone as yellow or red, we will address the underperformance by analyzing the gaps in the underlying issue, presenting it to council in those quarterly updates, and then recommending supports, whether it be a training guide, one-on-one check-ins, or creating a resource that could support that specific grantee. Then we will decide on next steps together with the executive committee and GROC to determine what might be most appropriate moving forward. Also, with every grantee evaluation, we identify action points, and those action points are clearly identified for each grantee to the executive committee and GROC, and then followed up on with each grantee. So that was the R&R response.
We have 2 minutes on the clock.
I can show an example of the stoplight.
Yes, Commissioner Del Kemper would like that.
Okay.
Do you have sharing privileges?
Yes, I
Okay.
think so. Can you see?
Yes.
Okay, awesome. So here's an example of what has been shared before in a ROAC evaluation. So you can see organization A, a description of the services down below, and they were identified as green on the stoplight method because they have had good communication, they met their proposal goals, as well as had comprehensive data collection. Then we move on to organization B. Again, you see the description down below. It's a peer navigator program, and they are identified as yellow. And that is because they have identified some areas of improvement, including communication between the organization contacts and the evaluation team. And they're also building out new data collection tools, so some inconsistency in the data reporting measures. So this organization was presented as a yellow to council for further discussion and follow-up. Those slides were presented in addition to some quarterly metrics for each organization.
And that does bring us to time. So we will go ahead and ask you both to exit the room, and you will be hearing from me later today.
Awesome. Thank you so much, everyone. We appreciate it.
Thank you.
And just clarifying that no one from the Stedman Group or Omni Institute are in the room. All right, I have 8 minutes on the clock for a comparison deliberation. And in the group discussion notes that I handed out, I did create a comparison chart. I am going to be as cautious as I can to not express a preference. Because at the end of the day, I do have to work directly with whoever the winner is, and I don't want to create any type of animosity in my opinions. So I'll go ahead and open the floor if there are any questions, and I will channel my inner commissioner to be as tactful and diplomatic as possible.
This is Leslie. You know, I have to tell you, when I read both of these proposals, I thought they were strong in multiple areas. We're familiar with both of these firms. I think they came forward with really thoughtful, comprehensive approaches. And I also am very much in tune with a comment from a question, I think, from Commissioner Hollingsworth in terms of work with Gilpin and Clear Creek. And in the R&R submitted by Omni, I know you had asked that question, I think, of the Stedman Group. But in the R&R from Omni, I do want to point out that Omni does walk us through some specific evaluation work related to our two rural counties. And one of our core values is making sure that there's equity across all three. And we want to make sure that's also reflected in our evaluation work. Just impressed with what both of these firms have done. I also appreciate the fact that, you know, we have individuals in both firms that have worked with our region. And I think that's extraordinarily helpful as well.
One notable difference I'm very comfortable highlighting is the data dashboard platform. The Stedman Group uses Power BI. I have experience with Power BI and Tableau. Tableau and R are by far the most statistically powerful data visualization and statistical software. We also do not have access to either platform. Jefferson County does use Power BI, and I have been working with someone in Jefferson County to create a Power BI dashboard. So that is not really a plus because we already have Power BI. I don't have Tableau.
But you said Tableau was stronger, a much
More.
stronger platform, so we would have to potentially look at maybe additional costs to access that platform.
If we wanted to buy Tableau, yeah.
Mhm. I will say that the data platform is so critical. And the better the platform, the stronger the communication with our community, as well as the accountability and the transparency piece that we talked about earlier on some other topics. So that is a really important point. Were there any other major distinguishing differences between the two for you regarding the evaluation process, the quality of evaluation, presented in a matter of fact and informative manner?
No, these are, I'm going to digress because I do see hands from Dr. Story and Commissioner Marlin, and then I will come back to that if there's time. There's a little under 5 minutes on the clock.
Yeah, I have a quick question about the dialogue that you were just having, so I want to jump in. Were you suggesting, Dr. Shore, that to effectively work with Omni, we would need to purchase Tableau?
No, they already have it. That's like an addition for us.
Okay, thank you.
But if we did want to go with the Stedman Group and then we want Tableau, then we do need to buy a license for that. Dr. Story.
Yeah, I just want to point out that our current Power BI capability at the county is really lacking in public transparency. And if these evaluations are not rocket science. Like, I don't even need a PhD to do these evaluations. It's pre-post, easy peasy, in out, right? But the most important part is, does the public understand where these investments are going? And I'll kind of go back to what I was saying about the grants management software. The most we can get out of this from a transparency perspective, the better we will be. So that's one thing on my mind, is that folks who are like in Tableau are in the public transparency game. And I know they do a fair amount of like military consulting, so I can kind of see why they're Tableau nerds, as we are in our department, because we have a license on our own. So the second thing I would ask, and I just am interested in the feedback on this because this predates my time. Am I under the impression correctly that Stedman was involved with GROC prior?
Yes, the Stedman Group had the initial consulting contract to essentially do my position.
Right.
Our specific representatives were Rhiannon Straight and Rosie Glasser. And then Rhiannon did recently switch roles and is now working with Omni Institute.
Okay, got it.
Yeah.
Okay, that makes sense now. Now it's all piecing together for me. So there is kind of history no matter what.
There's history no matter what.
Okay.
I have worked with probably everyone in both teams at some point in time.
Right.
or the majority of people at some point in time.
Got it. Okay. Thank you.
This is Sandy again. So I know I really appreciated the revise and resubmit because I think that I have a preference. Can we say who we have a preference for? I think that I saw that Omni, in my opinion, has more experience throughout the counties, but also seem more agile and nimble. And they also really emphasize working with community input a lot more. I think that Stedman seemed to have a very systematic approach, which is great, but I didn't really read that they want to get, as part of the evaluation, have input from the community, and maybe that would come through Dr. Shore. But I just felt like they were going to be in our communities more, the Omni group, which for our small counties can make a big difference.
There is about 1 minute on the clock. I'm already holding you over, so if you would like to go a little bit longer, that would be on your discretion.
I'll just reflect. I agree with you, Commissioner Hollingsworth. I think both of these are good applications and could do, a great job evaluating services. I have a slight preference for Omni with the same rationale that you just provided, in addition to the data platform.
And then if the floor is done, we are ready for motion and vote.
This is Jeffco Commissioner Leslie Delkemper. I'd like to make a motion for the acceptance of Omni's evaluation proposal.
And I will second Commissioner Hollingsworth.
We will vote by opposition in the chat or in the room. And I'm not seeing anything, so that will conclude our decision, is that the program evaluation award will go to Omni Institute. So I'll be in contact with both applicants today and work with John on getting that contract started. That does bring us to the conclusion of our meeting. Again, sorry, we're a little bit over. We did get started late. Meeting forecast, remember the September 8th Executive Committee meeting was canceled due to traveling conflicts. September 22nd, the full council meeting will be hybrid in Clear Creek and on WebEx. We will be setting the 2026 calendar. We will be finalizing our advisory board, committee, council nominations and votes. We will be discussing some revisions to the standard operating procedures manual. And then if people would like, I do have an RFA analysis to talk about how this would potentially refine our strategic plan. So we can go over that if I don't have other meeting agenda items. I'm getting some yeses in the room that they would like to hear the in-depth analysis of the RFAs. All right. There is an event on August 31st, Stories in Black and White, hosted by the Colorado Consortium for Prescription Drug Abuse and Prevention at the Golden Visitor Center. So make sure that you check that out. That information is on our website. And that wraps up for today. Thank you, everyone. Have a great rest of your day.
I'm sorry, I've got one more quick thing. I want to give a huge shout out to Dr. Chelsea for her incredible work leading this effort to date. We appreciate you more than we can articulate. And also, you can hear her live on Engage Jeffco. It's a really great 20-minute segment about Gateway to the Rockies Opioid Council, the work that we're doing, and you can find her on Spotify or Apple, and it's produced by Jefferson County. So thank you so much for representing us so well.
Thank you. And we'll put that on our website.